Hello. Hi. Welcome to episode 2 of Magical Soup. Um, the world is very different now. And I am. Mm, I was I've been struggling with whether this is just frivolous and silly. Um, and I have decided that it is not. It is decidedly not frivolous. We need magic in our lives, and all of the hopes and dreams that I had for myself before this are still there. They're just, um, well, it's just going to happen in a different way. And isn't it going to be fun to see how it unfolds? Yes, that's my story, and I am sticking to it. So, with no further ado, I am going to take you back to the magical world that we lived in December. Um, I had started recording that first episode, and it was right before Christmas. And it, it just seems so silly now. It seems so silly. The whole thing is just wild. Um, here it is. I'm just gonna step back into it. Mm. Okay. Okay. So here is the story. I have gone skiing with my kids, and it's like mid-December, and we're driving back down from the mountains, and I'm joking with them about the fact that my horoscope that month said you will be receiving some unexpected income. And we start talking about like what would that be? What would that unexpected income be? And I'm like, I think it's the lottery. It's my time. I'm due to win the lottery, and that is what this horoscope means. And so we launch into this really fun conversation about how our lives would change if we won the lottery. And the kids, Caroline and Jackson, both start chiming in about how, like, well, they wouldn't want to change schools, and they wouldn't want to maybe even move. A pool might be nice, but and I just had this lovely moment where I realized that they are happy. They're happy with their lives. And so that was such a gift. And that got me thinking about gifting. And so I'm like, you guys, like, it would be so fun. Like, what if, I'm like, I would go to the bank and I would get out a bunch of cash and I would go to the thrift stores because I love shopping at thrift stores. And they know this. And I'm like, I would go to the thrift stores and I would just start handing out $100 bills. Like, how fun would that be? And, they laughed at me and they're like, yeah, that's cute, Mom. and, we went about our day. So fast forward 2 days later, and I'm driving Jackson around and we're doing errands. And I remember that there is this little Japanese jewelry box that I saw in a thrift store. And I thought about getting it for Caroline for Christmas. And then I thought, no, that's stupid. And her room is already cluttered enough and she doesn't need any more stuff like that. But it popped in my head. And so I said to Jackson, do you mind if we swing by this thrift store I can show you this jewelry box? And if you think it's cool, then I'm going to get it for Caroline. And like, to my surprise, he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's go to the thrift store, which was like, what? So we pull into the parking lot and we're walking inside the first set of doors. And there's a guy who's standing there. And he looks at us and he says, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And I don't know. I think I probably gave him a look. Like, I mean, you just usually aren't approached by someone in the front of the thrift store. And he immediately says, don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you anything. And so I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, what's going on? And he says, do you know about Secret Santa? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, everyone knows about Secret Santa. And he's like, no, I mean the Secret Santa. And I like kind of look at him, quizzically. And I'm just like, is that someone who does like random acts of kindness? And he reaches out and he shakes my hand and he says, yeah, that is who Secret Santa is. And now you've met him. And then he pulls out $100 bill and hands it to me and says, Merry Christmas. And then he walks out of the store. And my instant reaction was, wait, no, you've got the wrong person. And then I thought, oh my God, I just got to experience what someone would feel like if I handed them $100. And I thought, and I thought, wait, no, this is all wrong. Like, I'm supposed to be giving the money away. I'm not supposed to be getting the money. But I was absolutely floored by what had just happened. And then actually the story gets even better. It's kind of incredible. So I knew that it was going to have to be the second episode for this podcast. So I went back and I was like, I wonder if I could find this guy. Like, how cool would it be if I could find who this guy is? And then maybe I could interview him for my podcast. Well, that did not happen. But what I did discover was something really kind of cool. It turns out there was this guy named Larry Stewart. And for over 30 years, he gave away $1.3 million to strangers. And he called himself Secret Santa. So that's, what I find out about the Secret Santa. But that's where it starts to get weird because, it turns out he died 13 years ago. So I know it's not Larry who's handing me that $100 bill. So I do a little bit more research, and it turns out this is a guy who is part of a group, a secret society of Secret Santas that have decided to take Larry's legacy and continue on. And they've been doing it since he died. And they hand out $100 bills to total strangers at thrift stores and laundromats and fast food restaurants. And they wear this guy Larry's trademark red beret and perform random acts of kindness and give away money. And so the ability to find which of the Secret Santas actually was the one who gave me the money proved to be very difficult. However, just knowing that this exists in the world is amazing. I love, love, love that people are doing that. And the fact that that happened to me was just so wonderful and magical and gave me the impetus to think I should keep doing these podcasts. But I've also been, struggling, obviously, a little bit. And I don't know, well, obviously, right? Because it's March and this happened in December. And so why have I waited so long? Why did I wait so long? And I've been looking at that, right? Like, why don't we follow our dreams? Like, why don't we do the things that are the most important to us? So have to tell you, I'm a big fan of Liz Gilbert, and she is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and she's written a bunch of other books that are amazing. She actually wrote a novel called City of Girls, which is incredible. But she wrote a book that changed my life. And no surprise, it was called Big Magic. And she wrote it as sort of a, I think, kind of, inspiring people to live their best, most creative life. And what I'm not sure she realized is that she actually was giving like instructions, like steps, like if you follow these steps. No, I'm pretty sure she did not realize that she was doing that. And maybe she didn't. I just read it that way because I went back through the book and I basically broke down her chapters into steps to follow. And what's interesting is that I'm recognizing the fact that one of her steps was writing a letter to her fear. And I remember it so clearly because it was such a powerful story about how when she was on her way to living a creative life, she wrote fear, a letter. And in her letter to fear, she basically says, "Dear fear, I'm going to make room for you in the car on this road trip, but you're definitely not sitting in the passenger seat and you're definitely not driving. You're allowed to every once in a while chime in from the back and I'll acknowledge you, but that's as much power as you're going to get on this ride." And I obviously, I need to write my fear a letter. That's going to happen next. But she had this quote also in the book. And the quote was, "Your fear will always be triggered by your creativity, because creativity asks you to enter into realms of uncertain outcome, and fear hates uncertain outcome." And oh my God, our outcome's uncertain right now. But here it is. I have so many reasons to fear putting this out there. And then I also think about, Eleanor Roosevelt said to do one thing that scares you every day. And I believe that I know that when I've faced my fears in my life, the universe has rewarded me. When I've done the most daring things, that's when that's when magic has shown up for me. And I'm like, oh, so grateful for that. And I'm thinking about this, and I've been training. I've been in training. It was a couple years ago that my son Jackson started challenging me to level up. That's what he called it. And he's like, "Level up, Mom." And he would get me to swing on a tire swing or walk up the slide the wrong way or climb a tree. And I think that right now my biggest fear is not listening to this idea and not having the courage to actually do it. So here we go. I'm doing it. I'm really doing it. And I hope that you would like to contribute. I do have a couple other really kind of amazing magical stories in my back pocket. But God, it would be just so freaking boring if it's me telling stories about my life. That's no. So I am so excited. My next episode is, I decided let's just face this fear thing head on. And my brother Dave also has had these incredibly magical stories of his magic is totally different than mine. His is like, oh my God, like he should have died like 1,000 times and somehow magically he does not die. And like, we call him Daredevil Dave. Like that's what my kids and I, when I tell them stories about growing up with my brother Dave, like we call him, and Jackson will be like, oh my God, can you tell another Daredevil Dave story? And I think I've repeated them over and over again more times than I can count. And it was only recently that I heard one of his greatest stories of all time. And so I called him last night and he's on tap. He is going to do it. He's going to tell the story and you're going to die when you hear the story. And so I hope you stick around. I'm hoping to continue doing this. I'm not exactly sure. I guess I'm going to keep doing this as long as it continues to make sense to do this. So if you want to share a story about magic in this world, I would love to hear it. My website is magicalsoup.com, and I'm sure, you know, if you just want to share even in the comments of my podcast, like that would be awesome too. I think anyone who is here is would appreciate a magical story. I think we all would appreciate a magical story. If you have found me, this is probably what you're needing right now. So thank you so much for listening again. And I cannot wait to record this next episode with my brother. It's going to be amazing. Mwah. Bye.